Nicky Griffiths. "Are you wearing that?" Angie said, with characteristic candour. I peered down at the t-shirt. No holes, no stains. It looked good to me. "Yes," I replied slowly. "Why?" "You're working for this guy, right?" "Yes," I repeated and descended the last step. "But he's seen me wearing worse. I don't think he would care what I had on." Angie shrugged. "If you think so," she answered, her face still showing doubt. Angie was traditional in that sense. She had been taught long ago, if you worked for someone, your relationship had to be a certain way. Part of it was dressing the part. Having him over to my house was probably a huge violation to her unwritten rules of conduct. As though conjuring him with a thought, I heard the knock on the door, but this time in the front. I cast a hurried glance toward Angie. He's only been here once. I was struggling to reduce the overall weirdness of it then. I think I'd just rather avoid some of the strangest stories about this place. I warned her. Not that the warning would be completely effective. What Angie thought generally came out of her mouth unedited. It was an Angie-type thing I had gotten used to, but did occasionally catch me off guard. When I swung the door open, Ramsay was standing on the porch. Once more he was smothered in the copious folds of the coat, and his attention strayed to the upper stories of the house, where he was peering. "How many rooms are in your house?" he demanded, without preamble. I shrugged. Maybe he and Angie were going to hit it off perfectly. "I don't actually know," I replied, too distracted to figure out the total. "You must have an extraordinary view from the upper floors," he added, walking through the doorway, as though still lost in his own thoughts. "We do," I replied casually. "It's clearer now that some of the trees are losing their leaves." I followed him as he stepped into the parlour and glanced at me questioningly. "We can just work in here," I added, knowing he wanted to review maps first before we left. "Very well," he responded, and shrugged out of the coat. I heard the skittering of nails on the hardwood floor before I saw Dolly as she dashed into the room. I knew Dolly was an amiable giant, but I hadn't said anything to Ramsay about her. I needn't have worried. With some kind of canine second sense, Dolly slid to a stop by the tips of Ramsay's shiny shoes and dropped to her bottom. Her face, with its wide smile, tipped worshipfully upward as he caressed her stubby ears. "Well, hello," Ramsay declared, and I gawked at what appeared to be a ghost of a smile curving his lips. I hadn't actually thought of it before, but I realized Ramsay tended to have the same somber look no matter what he was doing at the time. Even when encountering new people, his face remained immobile, his expression alert yet neutral. Perhaps hanging out with Angie for years had made me immune from recognizing this odd characteristic. While she was often funny, most of the time on purpose, she didn't smile often. Now I noticed Ramsay didn't either.